is on. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Lori Christine, and I am the Coordinator of Academic Accessibility at the University of Virginia. I am also currently serving as the chair of the VEEP Captioning Committee, and am honored to represent this group of 11 folks that have worked very hard to bring you the VEEP Captioning Initiative. As you are aware, the Virginia Higher Education Accessibility Partners, commonly referred to as VEEP, has been working for nearly a year to identify and make available vendors who can provide quality and effective captioning, both live and post-production, and audio description services to K-12 schools, post-secondary schools and institutions, and state agencies across the Commonwealth. 9 vendors have been identified to provide these services. These vendors have entered into agreements with UVA, agreeing to state terms and conditions, UVA's data protection addendum, and have undergone a UVA IT security review. UVA will serve as the administrator of these agreements, while the Virginia Higher Education Procurement Consortium and the VEEP Captioning Committee will manage the initiative. Today's demonstration by Cielo 24 will provide you with the information to get started using their services. Through the VEEP Captioning Initiative, Cielo 24 offers a set of services involving human intervention, thereby meeting the effective communication requirement of the ADA. They also offer other services which you are welcome to use. However, these are considered outside of this initiative. More information on the VEEP Captioning Initiative can be found under the Initiatives tab on the VEEP website at veep.org, VHEAP.org. The demonstration today is being recorded and will be available on the Cielo 24 webpage through the VEEP Captioning Initiative site. Cielo 24 is also providing the live captioning today. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Joe DeRocco for the presentation. Joe, all yours.
Thank you so much, Lori. What an excellent introduction. We're very excited to continue our partnership with Virginia Commonwealth Schools. We were fortunate enough to have been awarded an RFP in the previous generation of this initiative. But this, as you guys advance and as you build towards greater accessibility throughout the state, this is a significant step forward in the ability to deliver statewide kinds of solutions. Today, well, I suppose I should first off say, my name is Joe DeRocco. I'm the Senior Director of Strategic Accounts, and I'm joined today by David Herron, who heads up our customer success team, whom we'll be hearing from in just a minute. And I see that Nicole Flynn, who's our Chief Marketing Officer, has just joined us as well. Between the three of us, we hope to make this presentation as timely and as relevant and germane to your use cases as we possibly can be. I think that if there was one thing that I hope you take away from what we're going to show you today, it is that everything we do is designed to make it easy. The first part of being easy is from a usage perspective or an end user perspective, where the tools that we built are straightforward and simple. There are integrations that are available with a wide variety of OVPs and other types of LMSs that make it simple for your content creators to generate the kinds of captions and accommodation that's required through the ADA, and that is part of your initiative to improve accessibility. So that's the first part of easy. The second part of easy is that because you have a statewide buying agreement, the actual business side of this is very easy too. All you really have to do is ask us and we'll get you set up and you're going to be, ready to go. I think the third piece of what's easy is that if we have a user side, which is streamlined, we also have what I would call an administrator's side, which is streamlined as well. Through our portfolio management console, which is the one area that everybody who uses Cielo 24 has access to, regardless of integrations, you're going to be able to, as an administrator, depending on how it is that you configure and set up your accounts, have granular control over everything that's happening underneath. And I think with that, what I'd like to do is turn things over to David Herring, who's going to take us through not only portfolio, but some selected integrations with, I think, Kaltura and Panopto and probably YouTube, a few other things like that. We also want to make sure that if you do have questions at any time during this presentation, please feel free to raise your hand, ask us. We'll be happy to answer as quickly as we can and as timely as we can. And finally, obviously, there'll be some time for questions and answers at the end. But Nicole has prepared some interesting information concerning our roadmap that we'd like to share with you guys as well, if there is time. And with that, David, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Joe.
Of course.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So what Joe was talking about here, this is the Cielo 24 management console, or the portfolio as we call it. So this is really where all of your entries can be uploaded for captions, can be downloaded as far as the SRTs. This is where you can request jobs for audio description. And as mentioned, any job that is requested through any integration is still going to receive a line item here. So let me just open up some of my job history so we can see a bit further context. So see here the job name, the account, etc. So all this is going to be populated regardless of how it's ordered. So even if it's ordered inside Kaltura or Echo or through a YouTube integration, you'll still be able to access your job requests and caption files here. If you are going to be uploading directly through the portfolio, you'll want to navigate to the upper right-hand corner here where the green upload media button is. This will prompt a pop-up where you're going to have the job name available. This is optional because this will be automatically populated depending on the file name or the entry of the URL that you're uploading. But if you do have a naming convention you're trying to keep, you can input custom fields here. The job type, so we offer audio description as well as transcription/translation. So here you would denote that difference in your individual job selection. For this example, we'll just select transcription/translation. And then the next selecting field is the fidelity. So we offer 3 different products as far as fidelities. Our mechanical product, which is purely ASR. This is not ADA compliant. This is just ASR. No humans are involved in this workflow. And then we have our standard product, which is a hybrid workflow, which utilizes a mechanical first pass and then human sampling and review thereafter. This is 99% accurate and is ADA compliant. And then we have our professional product, which is an all human workflow. So a human first pass and then multiple human reviews and human sampling thereafter. If you are going to select audio description, there is only one fidelity that's available. So you will not need to select fidelity if audio description is selected. The next options here is the turnaround time. So out of the box, we offer 48-hour, 24, and 72-hour or best effort. We do have extended turnaround times that are available outside of these ranges. However, there is a bit of limitation as far as the media length that is available for the shorter turnaround times. For example, we can offer a turnaround time as quick as 3 hours. However, the max media length there is 10 minutes in media length. The next option.
Excuse me,
David, can I ask
David.
a quick question?
Of course.
Laura, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, we have a question.
Yeah, of course.
David, I had a quick question. Since you're on fidelity, I forgot I'd ask it now. Robert
Yeah.
and I were talking about this yesterday. Almost 1,000% of what we do is done through Kaltura.
Sure.
But the question was, if we're pushing it through Kaltura, is it coming through as standard or is it coming through as professional? How is that handled? What's the default
Yeah,
when you're pushing it that way?
yeah. So that's a great question. And in fact, I'm going to go through a couple different ways of how to order within Kaltura. And Kaltura is probably one of our most robust integrations as far as the different functionality and the different ordering mechanisms. But really, we can default it to whichever workflow, and that can be done through, 3 different ways, which is tagging, category ordering, or the caption and enrich button in the V2 integration, or you can also even order through the drop-down menu in your KMS or any of your connected LMSs to your KMC instance. So the answer, in short, is really we can default your guys' workflow to either of the options.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's a great kind of little note here of just a reminder that none of this is required to order within Kaltura. This is simply if you're doing it manually. So if you're ordering through Kaltura, essentially all of this is done for you through just a selection process of what product you're ordering. And you won't have to actually upload any media to be captioned, and you will not have to download any SRTs. All of that will be automatically done without manual intervention. But it's good to know that these tools are here, and I think it helps visualize the entire workflow behind the scenes. So the last little section here is language. So if you're just doing English transcription, all this can be left as default. If you are looking for foreign transcription, so let's say a Spanish speaker that you want transcribed in the natively spoken language of Spanish that the content is recorded in, you would navigate down to Spanish as the language and would not need to select anything else. If you are looking for translation, you would want to select English. Let's say if it's an English speaker and you want that translated into Spanish, you would select Spanish as the target language here. You can do this for multiple languages simultaneously. So if you wanted a English recording translated into Spanish as well as, let's say, Portuguese, you can select both languages at the same time. And we can mirror these workflows on Kaltura as well through tags, essentially, or even a drop-down menu. The next section here is the term section. So really how I like to describe this is it's a direct line of communication to our transcriptionists that are actually working on your jobs. So this is a great place to put industry specific terminology, anything that really you think is going to be a spark note, so to speak, for our transcriptionists that may help them, for individuals' spellings of names, or just custom kind of terms, maybe specifically for the science and math fields that can be a bit tricky, that aren't in the everyday lexicon. This is a great place to put that information. And we also offer this note section on the account-wide level as well. The last section is upload media. So this is if you were uploading inside the portfolio, this is where you would select your media to actually be captioned. The first option is a direct link. So you'll see here reference Google Drive, Dropbox, Amazon S3 links, really any link that is publicly downloadable as soon as you visit the URL is going to be supported. The next option is YouTube or Vimeo. We do have a full integration with YouTube. So we actually have the ability to automatically pull in YouTube videos from either a playlist or channel, caption them, and automatically return the caption files to those videos hosted on that YouTube channel or playlist. I'd say this is actually our most hands-off integration as far as automation. So good to know if you do have YouTube channels within your organizations. The next option is a CSV file. So if you have multiple direct links that you're trying to upload simultaneously and you don't feel like clicking the direct link button and uploading, let's say 20 or so links individually, you can put all of those links into a CSV style format and just upload that CSV file to batch upload all 20 at the same time. And last but not least is if you just have a standard audio or video file living on your local desktop. So MP4, MP3, AVI, .wav, really any of the standard audio or video files can be supported here. You would click add files. A pop-up would happen where you would need to select your audio or video file in your local desktop directory, and then you click start upload. You would then be able to close out this view here. You would get a success message and you would see the job or jobs populate inside the portfolio as a line item. Any questions before I kind of move on to some of the next little sections here? All right, I'll take that as a no. So once the job is uploaded, as I mentioned, you'll receive a line item inside your portfolio with a few different fields that are populated. So the job name, the account name is also populated inside the portfolio. And the reason that we are displaying your account is because we have the ability to support, a hierarchy account structure. So right now I'm signed into the Dave Test 2 account. You'll see underneath Dave Test 2 is a Dave Test 1 account or a sub account of Dave Test 2. So we can perpetuate this hierarchy as far as you need to go. We can have, I think we actually have clients of ours that have over 100 or so different sub accounts, even as granular as at the individual professor level if needed. And then the parent account above the sub account would be the administrator, essentially, who would be able to oversee all of the orders within the sub accounts underneath it. And we can separate billing as well by sub account. So the next field is length, just displaying the media length. This also is a preview of the media. If you click the hyperlink, it will either direct you to the media where it's hosted, or it will download the media. And then the request and start date. The reason there's a difference between these two different timestamps really is because we have a feature called require customer authorization that we can enable on a per account basis. It is an optional feature. It's not defaulted to be on, but what it does is it will put a job in the authorizing state, as you can see right here. And until someone that has permissions goes in and actually authorizes that job will remain in that authorizing state. So this is great if, let's say, within Kaltura, if you allow, multiple kind of very entry-level users to be able to order human captions, but you want to oversee those orders as an administrator and authorize them, then we can set that up with this feature here. The due date, that is just derived based on the turnaround time selected, and the complete date is pretty self-explanatory. The fidelity, that just goes back to the 3 different fidelities I mentioned during the upload media process. We have standard, mechanical, or professional. We also have audio description, which would be denoted if it's ordered here. Language, you'll see if it's English, it's just an acronym of EN. If it's a translation job, you'll see the acronyms of the other languages that are being ordered. And then the status column, really there's only about 3 different statuses a job could be in, which is complete, which indicates that you're able to download the SRT or transcript, and that the caption should be pushed back to any integrations, and then authorizing, which I just explained, and then in process, which indicates that the job is still in our system and is going through the transcription process. Job type just indicates the different types of jobs, so transcription, audio description, translation, etc. And then we have the actions column where there's a few different options here. The first one being the view button. And what this does, if you click view, is it will actually bring up the customer edit tool link. And so what that is it's a sentence editor, we call it, where you can actually make any adjustments or changes to your transcripts, to your captions. You can preview the media. Now, the reason we call it a sentence editor rather than a caption editor is because no formatting changes are adjusted within this tool. It's really just to make changes to, individuals' names or timing adjustments. But it's a great tool to kind of preview what was generated by our transcriptionists in accordance with the media. And any adjustments within this tool, as long as you save and approve them, will be pushed back to your integrations as well, including Kaltura. So let's say there was a job that was ordered through Kaltura. You had to make a small adjustment in the customer edit tool. You would hit save and approve, and then that updated caption file would then be pushed back to Kaltura and would overwrite the previous caption file that was hosted on your Kaltura video. The next few buttons here, we have the up level button, which is available if, let's say, a mechanical job was initially ordered and you wanted to up level it to the professional level fidelity. You can select that here. We have the translate button, which if you have a job that, let's say, was ordered in English and you then want to at a later date order foreign translation in different languages, you can do that here. And then we also have the preview button or the embed button. This is for what's called our wrapper. So what our wrapper is really a kind of an interactive tool that works with players. So this is supported within Kaltura as well. And what it does is it will preview the media and will actually wrap around the player. So you'll see here, this is a YouTube video that we're wrapping around. So if you click the play button, it's a bit of an interactive experience. So let me mute this. So you'll see as the as the video plays, these sentences will automatically scroll down. The entire tool is searchable. So let's say if we do edit as a search here, you'll see the word edit is used 14 times during the transcript. Edited is used 4. And actually, if you click one of these terms, so let's say we click edit, you'll be able to see a heat map below of where edit is used every time within the video. You can skip to these portions in the video, which will not only skip to the timestamp in the video where that word is used, but will also skip to where the sentence is. You can select through with the arrow keys on the top right-hand corner as well. And this can be embedded into either iframe or Java websites and is supported within Kaltura through the plugins option as well. So we just have a plugin string that we can provide for this wrapper, and all of your content within Kaltura can benefit from this wrapper. Any questions before I move on? All right, I'll take that as a no. So once your job is completed, if you're looking to download it, as far as the caption file or transcript, you can select one or multiple jobs. You would, on the left-hand side, you would then want to navigate to download transcripts or captions. If you want to download a transcript, click download transcripts. This will prompt a pop-up view where you can select the file output format. So TXT being the defaulted format, but we do have other formats that are available. Also, if you click more options here, there's a lot of different custom configurable settings as far as how you want the transcript to be displayed. The same thing goes with download captions. So if you go to the download captions button here, you can select your caption format, SRT being defaulted, but we do have multiple different formats available. And you can also enable the more options here to adjust some of your caption formatting settings. So, number of lines in each caption. If you wanted 2 lines in each caption instead, you can download your caption files you're selecting here to reflect these changes. Something to note is we can actually mirror these adjustments on your account-wide settings too. So if you have a specific kind of recipe of settings that you've curated and you like, we can basically mirror that. So you don't have to adjust this every time manually. And another thing is you can download as many different caption formats as you want as well. There's no extra charge or anything for this. It's all inclusive with our enterprise solution. The same thing goes for media intelligence. So if you're looking for, metadata, you can download that here, and audio description, you can download that here if you did select an audio description job for downloading. The export table button, that just exports all of this data here into an Excel document. So if you were doing any reconciliation or data tracking and you were working out of Excel, that's a great little feature there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this view. If there's no other questions, I'll move on to account settings and how to order live captioning. And from there, I will move on to Kaltura. All right. So in account settings here, there's just a few things I wanted to showcase. So the credentials tab, this is where you can change your password. This is where you can access your API key for your account, which a lot of our integrations utilize. And this is also where you can authorize your YouTube channel. So for us to be able to automatically pull in your YouTube videos and automatically push back caption files to your YouTube channel or playlist, you will need to authorize your YouTube channel here. The notifications tab, this is where you can actually input individuals' email addresses to receive various job status notifications. So let's say, for example, that you had customer authorization enabled on this account, and you as an administrator wanted to be notified every time a job was in that status. So you can go and check out the job and either authorize or deny that request. You can turn on customer authorization email notification here, and you will receive an email address or an email every time a job in this account enters the authorization step. And the same thing for any of these other different statuses here. The usage tab, this is where you can really get a bird's eye view of your usage for your account or accounts. Depending on how you select and refine your search criteria. Now, one thing to mention with this is it's very broad as far as the view. We do provide bi-monthly billing data from our billing department, which is much more granular as far as products ordered and a cost breakdown. So this is really just kind of a quick stop if you're trying to get a rough estimate of what you've used within a date range. And the last tab in the account settings is the glossary tab. So this is where you can input any custom terms or verbiage on the account-wide level. This is where a lot of kind of custom curation can come into play. As far as curating how our workers view your guys' submissions for your specific accounts. So any of that custom verbiage I mentioned during the upload media process can be mirrored here and will be automatically applied to every job uploaded on your account. And then the last thing I want to cover is just the ability to request live captioning. So this is where you would request future events to be scheduled for a live captioner to be present. So you just need to fill out this information. Once you fill out this information, we'll send you a confirmation email that we received it, and then a confirmation email later that it's been filled, and a live captioner will be present at your future events. Any questions before I move on to Kaltura? All right.
Fantastic, Dave.
Yeah, thanks. All right. So for Kaltura, like I mentioned previously, there's really a couple different ways you can approach ordering. So right here, I'm just in our demo instance. So the first way is actually through the captioning and enriched field. So you would navigate to an entry. So here, this is just a test video. I would then navigate to captions, and then captions and enrich. Once here, there should be a drop down of different services that you can request. And really, these services that are available are curated through your Kaltura CSM. So you would need to contact them to make sure the various products that we offer are configured within your KMC for ordering. So here, if I click professional, I have 3 different languages that have been curated for our test account for testing and demonstrations like this. You can select different turnaround times depending on how your CSM configures, and different products as well. So once you submit that, that's when we receive that request in your portfolio, and we begin processing it. Once processed and the captions are completed, they'll be pushed back and will be published in this captions tab here, and will be playable within your Kaltura video player. So that's the first way of ordering. The second way of ordering is through the tags field. So we can set up various tags for as many different sub-accounts as needed within an organization. So for example, let's say we had a biology department that needed its individual own account and its own tags and its own billing. We could set up a biology 48-hour professional tag. Now once this tag is added, you would then want to save this entry, and our system would actually pull for this tag. We would recognize that this tag was linked to the professional 48-hour workflow for the biology department account. Then we would begin processing that job inside the portfolio. The captions would be completed and would be returned to the Kaltura entry here, would live within the captions tab, and would be playable within the video itself through the closed caption button, which would be available if the video had closed captions, which this one doesn't. And a caption complete tag would overwrite the initiating tag here, indicating that the captions were completed, and which would also allow for easier searchability of jobs that had already completed captioning. So that's the second option. And then the third option is through categories as well. So we can set up different categories for ordering, where you can just place certain entries inside these categories, and various captioning workflows can be initiated. So let's say you had a caption 48 category for your organization, indicating the professional 48-hour workflow that we support. You would simply move this job into this category and click change categories, and then the same process would take place where we would receive that request and the portfolio would process, and then the captions would be returned. And then the last and final option is just through the drop-down menu, which I don't have a demonstration available, but it's very simple. It's through the KMS, and it's really just a drop-down menu where you can select order captions, and then there'll be different options available depending on how you curate ordering options inside the CAF module, and the same exact process would take place as well. So really 4 different ways, I suppose, to order captions through Kaltura. All right, any questions for me?
No, doesn't look like it.
Okay. I'll stop sharing and I'll hand it back over to either Joe or Nicole, I suppose.
Thank you, Dave. That was
Yeah.
a terrific job. I hope that everybody who's participating in this call had an opportunity to see not only how much power and control there is within the system, but also just really how easy it is to set it up and to use it. And although there's a little bit of an investment in time to get things started, it's a very straightforward process. And I think that really brings us to something else which is important to mention. And that is that as good as what we do is out of the box, we get even better with the cooperation and the partnerships that we develop with our various customers. And as you get to understand how to work with us, and as we get to understand how to work with you better, the actual output gets better and it becomes an even easier circumstance for us. And we're very proud of being able to do that. I think the other thing that's important to point out at this point, and this will be sort of a little bit of a segue into what I hope Nicole will be able to take us through, but we really pride ourselves on our ability to deliver service at all levels of the engagement. As I mentioned before, David heads up our customer success. So for most technical and maybe account issues, support at cielo24.com is an instant conduit to the team that tracks and gets back and addresses whatever issues there are. I'm available always to help spearhead and shepherd. If I know the answer to something, I'm more than happy to share it. But if I don't, I know the people who can get you the answers that you need. And I think that also extends to the way that we think about helping institutions advance the cause, really, of accessibility. And we've become we like to consider ourselves, at least, an industry leader in terms of thought leadership and collecting a corpus of information that's available to our customers to help them form best practices and help them communicate across campuses. And I think with that, I'd like to turn things over to Nicole, who will be able to talk a little bit about kind of how we support that as we're doing with you guys. And how we can do it for individual schools, and then also a little bit about, I guess, our roadmap. Nicole?
Thank you, Joe, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. For most of you, I think it's morning maybe for a couple of you. I just want to add one thing coming off of Davy's demo, and that is the use of the glossaries on either account level, wide, or video level. So maybe the little bit of the difference with Cielo24 is we see ourselves as more of a workflow automation company that derives data from your audio and video rather than, hey, we're a transcription company. So the benefit to you, what that means is, like Joe just said, we get better with time. So as you're uploading maybe course material or certain terminology that you're most interested in making sure it's correct, it may be a very complicated calculus class, for instance, the better we are with your work. And I think that's one of our strong suits. So I just wanted to reiterate that for you, Joe. It's something that I think most people don't realize, and it is a core strength of ours. With that said, I am here to talk about a couple of different things, and the main one would be accessibility. First, shout out to Veep, because there are 2 main components that we're speaking about primarily today, which is the accessibility roadmap. For one would be our UI design, our website, and adjustments for visually impaired users. And the other would be for our portfolio, or our backend for our customers to use. And while we had really robust plans in place through end of year and now 2023, we hadn't put the same planning together for the backend. We now have, thanks to your team, we got more budget resources, AKA budget. It's what I call it, because that's what we need. So high five virtually to all of you. So I'm going to dissect a little bit of what I can show you today and what I'll be repeating for you shortly. And of course, I'll send it to your team regarding the back end. So first, we're going to talk about largely the website, UI design, and adjustments for visual impairment. And then know that within the coming short weeks, I think I have this slated for the February 15th, you'll have the same exact roadmap for the back end of our site, our portfolio that Dave showed you. And I will add it to the same spreadsheet and I will label it clearly so there's no second document that everyone has to go through. So I am going to attempt to share a screen. We all know how that can go. So let me just give this a shot here. Oh, here we go. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. So the first thing we've developed is we revised our accessibility policy. Let's start there. So essentially, and this link has been provided to our team. If someone doesn't have it, I will make sure that Lori sends it out to you. Lori, please send this out to your team. And this is, and you can read it, I tried to make it as short as possible. This is just telling you who's on our accessibility team. We do have a team here that we meet regularly. The schedule is listed, so you understand sort of when we're doing our major updates. We do meet twice a month as well, working on our progress for our roadmap. So we are semi-compliant in both areas, according to WCAG 2.1. AA right now. And of course, we're looking beyond that. But for the scope of this conversation, we'll focus our conversation there. And I won't go into great detail because I don't want to bore everybody, but it is outlined here. And you can see the top one is 28%, right? So you can see when we've scheduled to plan improvements, you can see the most recent improvements we've made on the site. I've also broken it out on the bottom of the spreadsheet by month, so you can see what we're working on in real time. If anyone has any questions, reach out to me. It's either my direct email, Nicole.Flynn, that's FLYNN @clo24.com, or accessibility@clo24.com might be easier to remember. So essentially what we've done here is the areas where we're required to perform, we are of course prioritizing those first. But we not only know we can do better, it would be, terrible. It would be tragic if we weren't doing better considering the business that we're all in. So in March, and areas that we are not supposed to be compliant for, or we don't have to be, we are going to become compliant. So we feel like we have a really robust roadmap. I feel like it's very achievable. I think some of the things in the March schedule will be done in February. And Lori, I promised this to your team, I think you and Corey, that you would get full visual what we'll be working on. And if you have any questions, ask. Here it is. If you have any questions about this document, please let us know. I'm very happy for the increased budget on our end, and I will replicate this process with the back end planning as well. Okay, that's just part of what my role here is with your organization. The other thing is there's this whole concept of communication. You're going to be communicating with your schools, in this case, however that works. For every school, it will be different. And as well, VHEAP itself will have a method, hopefully a single point of contact where you can get everything you need to understand about CLO 24 and captioning. We call that a landing page. Some people call it a portal. We have the first draft. It is not final, but I'm going to just show you. Please let me know if anyone can't see it. This is obviously, oh no, I took it out of edit mode. This is the initial draft. I will repeat that because as of this call, I realized that you primarily are Kaltura. There probably are other schools will be using other integrations, and I will make sure there's plenty of training on this page for those integrations, so no one has to guess. But what I would like to say is that we're offering this service. There are no charges for it for every single school. So every school can customize their own page as well. We just think that if we think communication is key, that's what we have found to be successful. So we've created a VHEAP page as well, and we will again iterate on this page as we go. This becomes really important because this is just the first step, is signing up for captions. But each school, there's a certain amount of awareness that you'll want to participate in with your organization. It may be through a newsletter, maybe a lunch and learn. Maybe you'd like us to do a webinar that's live for your school. Anything you guys feel you need for your organizations, we're open to. And I think that's another strength of ours. Our team works very tightly on these communication projects. I think that is a strength because I think communication is the first step to success here. And understanding for anything from your budget constraints at each individual organization to the process that you would like for your organization. Some organizations are going to want greater degree of approvals, for instance. So all of these, and maybe another organization is using something outside of Kaltura. I don't know that that's the case, but whatever it is, we will address it with individual organizations and make sure you have proper training that lives on your page or however you'd like to disseminate the information to your organization. That's sort of our commitment to you. But it does start here on these landing pages that we create for your organizations. We can really work with you to create anything that will work, again, for your unique needs. So my role isn't in anything communication-wise for your schools, as well as training. And I work very closely with both Dave's team and Joe to make sure that that happens. So does anyone have any questions about CLO 24, accessibility and communications throughout your organizations?
Nicole, I'll just jump in real quick and say
Okay.
thank you very much for the roadmap and all the work that you've done on the accessibility piece of this.
Thank
This
you.
is it's great information, and it will be very helpful for us. Do you have plans for, CLO 24 doesn't stand still, your website doesn't stand still. So what is your plans for additional reviews and audits of your online space?
That's a really good question. So we audit monthly.
Okay.
The issue we have right now, and I touched on this before, and I don't like to shy away from the elephant in the room. Currently, we are contracted with Accessibility. There have been problems with Accessibility. We are in negotiations working through that right now, and we are already working with another third party to overlap regardless because of the way the conversation is going for our third party assessments. And I will make those available. In fact, what I'm thinking of doing is just, again, I like the single point of reference. So on this roadmap, what I may just do is have another link here because it's easier to have one link for everyone, is to have like, what's the latest assessment? As well, this will be broken out, as you can see, into the individual elements that we're working on in a time period. And this is a living document. It will always be changing and growing. Like I said, we're already working on some of the March issues that will most likely be done in February. But no, that's a great question. It's been of a big concern. It does have to do with, contracts signed, but I'm hoping to have that rectified by the end of this month. So we're talking a couple weeks. And I will let you know, Lori. I'll shoot you an email and let your team know where we are with that status. But thank you. And thanks again for the fervor. So I got some additional resources. I mean, that's hard to do right now. So
anything we can do to move things forward.
Right. Yeah.
Fervor, that's an excellent word.
Yeah, for the right reasons too. I mean, this is really exciting for us as an organization. I think we're all admittedly here because we like what we do. We like our work. So yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, if you have any questions, again, you can reach me at my personal email or accessibility@clo24.com. And that's probably an easy one to remember. And I'm happy to answer them. And again, just keep checking this link. This will be updated all the time. And as soon as a couple of weeks, so you'll know about some contractual issues, and we'll have the back-end roadmap in here as well.
And Nicole, we'll add these links to your pages on the Veep website.
Please do. Yes. And if you would like this in any other format, let me know. So I can, accommodate you guys however you need.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, great job, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
I know that's a ton of work and everything, and it's been something which we've which we've tried to move forward for quite some time.
Yeah, it's really rewarding.
Yeah.
Personally, I think so.
Yeah. So sort of with that in mind, Lori, I'm going to ask you before we sort of wrap up here, assuming that there are no questions and stuff. Did you see what you needed to see today as far as the demonstration and the tools and so forth that are in the, that we presented? Is there anything else that you feel would be helpful as you communicate this information across the constituents?
I think that your presentation was well-rounded, and I think it gave a very good overview of your services and how to work with them. What we asked you to present, you did well. We will post this recording up on your site, on your page on the Veep site.
Okay.
You'll probably have more questions from individual institutions and entities, and we'll go from there. But yeah, Nicole and Dave, you did a great job, and Joe, keeping them on track was great. So we really
that's the easiest part of it.
Crack the whip.
Yeah, there you go. Nicole, I'll work with you directly on the Veep
Okay.
landing pages and that kind of stuff. But I think that that's a nice offering that you guys offer to schools. We can do something different with the Veep overall site, but we can look at that offline.
That makes sense. Yeah. And that's why I was a little hesitant to show that today. I think though that makes sense, understanding it's a draft. We're going to fine tune as we go. And for that matter, as schools work with us, they often revisit those pages and change it to how it needs to work for them, inserting new policies, et cetera. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, so I think that the next set of questions will be coming from the schools that want to work with you. You can always point them back to this recording as an introduction to your services through the Veep captioning initiative, and then start from there. So you don't have to say the same thing over and over and over again for our groups. But anybody else have any questions for the Cielo 24 group?
No, I just wanted to say thanks. I'll reiterate what Lori was saying. The accessibility roadmap and all the work you put into that is excellent.
Thank you,
Greatly
Corey.
appreciate that information.
Yeah,
Mark
we're
also, Mark also mentioned that in the chat. So, our group is really appreciative of what you've done. That's going to help many other schools and many other entities that want to work with you. So
Thank you.
kudos to you.
We are
Mark.
excited as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well,
Let's knock off for lunch. What do you say, guys?
yeah, there we
We're
go.
buying. No.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.